Welcome everybody to an unusual episode because today we're doing a Q&A Sunday. So it's a lot different from what we usually do, but we just thought it would be a fun thing to do. So we asked our viewers and followers to send us some questions on social media, and now we're going to be answering them on video for you guys. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. Now let's dive right into it. Question number 1 is, why did we start a podcast?
I think we started out of personal interest, but it was kind of like a on the spot kind of decision. I remember the day very clearly. Like it was a Saturday. I remember I was just sitting at home and I was thinking like, yo, I just want to do something like different, like something that nobody else is like that I know was doing at the time. So like, yo, like what can we do? What can I do that would be cool? I thought like, yo, like a podcast would be really interesting, and we had different ideas for it. But then I called you. I was like, yo, like, do you want to do a podcast, Rodrigo? And you were like, bro, like whatever. What was it that you said?
I was like, yeah, let's do it. That because I was like looking for someone to start a podcast
Mm-hmm.
with. Because I
Yeah.
remember for months I was looking for someone to start a podcast with. Because I just thought it was interesting, and then you just called me, and I was like, yeah, I'm down. Let's do it.
For
And that's how
sure.
it started.
Yeah, it was kind of like a random, but I think it was a good thing that we gave it a shot.
Yeah, and then we had our brainstorming phase, see what we
Hmm.
wanted to make our podcast about, come up with the name and designs and stuff. We put
Yeah.
in a lot of work and effort,
We
but
spent we spent that whole weekend. After that call, we were like, "Yo, like tomorrow it's Sunday. Let's sit down. We're free. Let's just work on it." And we did the name, we did the description, we did all that stuff. And like the next week, it was a lot of work, but yeah, it was pretty cool.
yeah, but it was kind of a spur of the moment idea, I would say. It was
Yeah,
really nice. It was probably one of the best ideas we've had together, for sure.
for sure. Well, I think we'll keep the names out of the questions. So let's go see who else. Um, what do you hope to accomplish from this podcast? That's a good question. Why don't you go first, Rodrigo?
Well, personally, I just want to, experience. I wanted to experience the different things, and this is completely a different experience. We started off in uncharted waters, and I can say that at least just personally that we've grown a lot because we had to research different topics so we could talk about them. We created our own opinions and points of views on it as well.
Mm.
And I think for me, I just want to accomplish a self growth, honestly, and to help our audience grow with us as well. What about you?
Yeah, I think the objectives, right? I think for me, it was a way to build like a little, like, it's good to develop skills, like um, public speaking, on video, on things like these. They're things that most people are not used to doing, and like it takes a little bit of putting yourself out there. It takes a little bit of confidence too, right? And it's good practice, to feel that pressure. The first few episodes that we did, I think we were. I mean, at least for me, I was like a little bit nervous, or like, oh,
Oh, we both
what can
were.
I
We both
say?
were.
Blah 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 blah, right? So that was funny. For the podcast, well, we did this first season, right? I think it was a pretty productive season. We kind of like discovered a little bit about who was listening to our podcast, who were reaching and things, and we'll eventually, see what we're gonna bring for season two. So yeah.
Yeah, I like that. So we're just gonna move on from question to question. So
Hmm.
moving on from that, what has been your favorite topic that you've covered in the podcast so far?
Ooh.
This is a
Why
tricky
don't we
question.
why don't we divide that into two questions? Like, what was our favorite topic and what was our favorite episode? I think
Okay,
let's put that into two questions. So starting out with, what's our favorite topic?
your favorite topic for you.
Yeah, for me, of course, right? So you guys us because it's our podcast, right? Um, I think the gap year was a pretty good topic. I think the educational system was a good topic, and I think generational fears and doubts was a good topic. Those were probably my top three.
Okay, I'm gonna make it interesting, and I'm just gonna pick straight up one. I
Okay.
think the topic we've covered best was
No, not the
our
best one. What was your favorite? Not the best one. That's the other question.
my favorite one to talk about. I think it was more modern day relationships.
Oh yeah, that's true. That was a good
Yeah,
one for sure.
I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, and we
And what
didn't get
about what do you which was your favorite episode?
like from the ones that we produced. Like which ones I liked
Yeah,
the most?
yeah,
Probably the
yeah.
gap year. I think having the guest made it really really awesome. Actually.
Okay, I agree with you with that one. We brought in a guest and it went really well.
Mm-hmm.
But then I gotta say, the modern day relationships, I think it was a really good episode as well.
For sure.
But we started off rocky with our starting episodes, but then we started like getting better and better at it.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess as time goes by, we'll just keep getting better at it. If we
Yeah.
keep putting in the amount of work we are. So it's not that big of a deal right now.
Mm-hmm. Then what do you think was the best one we've produced? Modern relationships.
Yeah, and gap
Okay.
year,
What's a
and the
close
gap year,
second?
gap year, the gap year
Okay.
video.
All
Yeah.
right. Yeah, I'd probably agree with that. I think those two are pretty strong. Do you want to do worst episode? I
Oof.
don't. Ooh, I
Worst episode.
I don't know. I don't think we have a worst episode.
We definitely have. I remember we had
I'm
this
sure.
video that after we filmed it, we were like, yeah, nah, we gotta redo it. It was bad.
That was the relationship ones that we didn't do, that we didn't publish, and then we did a new one. Ever.
No, we did that for 2 episodes. But
Honestly, I don't know.
I don't remember.
Yeah, fair enough.
Let's see.
Um, hmm.
What are some of your personal goals that you have for the future? Hmm.
Sort of personal question.
Yeah, we take
Is it
those.
related to the podcast or
Just
individually?
personal. It says, what are your personal goals that you have for the future?
Um, you know, I think let's keep it on the podcast. I'd probably say do a couple more seasons of a couple different topics that we enjoy, and hopefully like reach more people. I think that would be one of the objectives. Like, first season, you're small, you reach some people, but you want to reach more. You want to get more people watching your videos and see how to build a better audience. And like, that's kind of also the point of this question, and answers thing is like to understand a little bit better our audience. And I would like to do that as an objective, like for the podcast at least. See who we're talking to, what they like to listen to, and find some good topics that we can make some episodes on.
I like that. Well, for me, I'm going to do a bit of both, personal and towards the podcast. So personally, uh, plans I have for the future is to, keep growing as a person, to keep becoming a better athlete on and off the field, and then to see my family. So some family I haven't seen in like 2 years, like my dad, and I'm really looking forward to be with him again. And for the podcast, I would say, yeah, to do a few. I wouldn't say 2 or 3. I think we want to do more, but it also depends on our time availability as well.
Mm-hmm.
But hopefully, we can keep producing 1 episode a week, and
Yeah,
yeah, just try to reach more people. Try to interact with more people as well. Get more people to interact with our podcast as well. So for Q&A Sundays, we can have more diverse questions and different things. And yeah, those are some goals that I have for personal and for the podcast.
fair enough. And along that line, there's a question here that says, "What are your plans for the future with the podcast and in your personal lives?" We kind of responded to the personal lives part, but what are your plans for the future with the podcast? Let's go there a little bit.
I said it. I look forward to do more seasons.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing like 10 episodes as per season, just to cover like a
Yeah.
topic and to make it more interesting. I don't want to.
And
You
bring
said
some more
two,
guests.
but yeah, bring more guests definitely. 100%. We only brought one, which was a bit upsetting because I thought we would bring in at least three or four.
Hmm.
But it also depends on the people because we're also growing our network. So hopefully, for next season, we will have more people joining in and tuning in
Yeah,
for some episodes. And yeah, just to keep growing the podcast. I think it's something I'd just like to keep it going for a while because it's something I enjoy doing.
for sure, for sure. So, who'd you like to have on the podcast?
Who would I like? Just in general,
Yeah.
mm, I would like to bring in a coach because I think it would be very interesting to dive into the mentality that is needed to be one and to know more about what goes on behind the scenes. How do they, help their athlete develop? Is it different for different athletes in the team? Their approach. It would be really interesting. And I would like to, have somebody with like a psychology degree come in because it would be really interesting to have somebody specialized in the psychology to dissect different topic with us and give us that expertise opinion on things so it would help us personally and it will help our audience, I would say. What about you? Who would you like to
Yeah,
bring?
bring somebody a little bit more knowledgeable on topics, whether it's political stuff or like societal things, like somebody who's, works. Or I'd love to bring a good debater on our podcast, like somebody who
Ooh,
debates, like, and then you have a discussion with him, like, that would be really interesting and like have a quality discussion with the debater. Um, but yeah, somebody a little more professional would also be nice, or another YouTuber. I think it would be nice to bring on another podcaster too, like to see what they say, what their experience were, how they grew their podcast, and like because that'll be also learning experience for us. Like we can learn things from him or her, right? And yeah, that would be cool.
I like that. That brings us to the next question, completely different from the question we're answering, which is what's the biggest piece of advice you would give to someone your age?
Mm, try everything, like just try things. No, not like that. I mean, like try different things. Like try put yourself out there
Yeah,
and try to do things that you never thought you could do, like kind of like what we did with the podcast. If you had told me
yeah.
like 4 months ago you'd be podcasting, I'd be like, bro, like nah, right? And so like just try things like, oh, I want to start a podcast, I want to start a YouTube channel, I want to start an Instagram account for something. You have a motivational Netflix account, right? Try that, um, and like in that way you kind of find out different things, like, oh, like I don't like this, or I like this, something I want to go into, because you don't want to look back later in your life and regret, like, yo, why didn't I start a YouTube channel? Everybody has a YouTube channel. Oh, I was too scared to put my voice out there or something. Or why didn't I do podcasting or something like that? Why didn't I start? It could be anything. It could be gym, football, exercise, certain studies, reading. Like just try different things and play around with it.
I like that. Well, for me, the biggest piece of advice for somebody our age, I would say be yourself and have ambition because we've covered in different episodes where we said that a lot of people just follow the crowd,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's right or wrong. They just follow because that's the trend or that's what's up. And I disagree with that. I think being different and being you brings more value to yourself and to your future. And have goals. What I mean by that is not have crazy goals, as in I want to live in Mars, but that would be possible one day, hopefully. But I mean, you know, build goals which are like stepping stones for the future that you're trying to build. And I would say that's the biggest piece of advice for somebody that I would give to somebody our age for sure.
All right, here's a question. What's the hardest part about moving away from home?
well, it's gonna be the obvious reasons, of course, for me. I'm a big family person, so it's definitely leaving my family behind and not being able to know when I'm gonna be with them again. So I was able to see my sisters and my mom like a year and a half after I left home, and my dad, I'm only gonna be able, and my some of my grandparents and aunties and stuff, I'm only gonna be able to see them basically 2 years after, which is soon. So I'm so glad for that opportunity. But yeah, it's definitely moving away from family and moving away from your friends, the people I grew up with and, that I built bonds with, brotherhoods with, and just leaving them behind. Not leaving them behind, but, just, moving away from home is always difficult at first. And then you just get used to it.
For sure.
What about
I
you,
think
Jason?
it's also tough, like, because besides all the things that you mentioned, you're leaving. Sometimes when you leave home, like you're leaving a life that you built for a lot of years.
Yeah.
It's like in a also in a place that you already know, like you know everybody, you've been everywhere, you know how to get around, you're very comfortable in your area and your space, it's very adapted to you. You're kind of like, that's why it's your home, right? It's somewhere you
Yeah.
spend a lot of time and you've built a lot of memories also with people and places and things you've done, right? Like moving away from that, you kind of get a new experience, which is good, right? You get to almost reinvent yourself in a new area or a new place. But it's like sometimes you look back and you're like, oh, I remember that time,
Yeah.
did this and that, and oh, I don't have that person here, or I don't have that same place, or just the same memory. So that definitely causes nostalgia and things like that for sure.
But what about you? What was the hardest part about moving away from home for you?
Um, okay, well, I think the hardest part about leaving home is like you said, you leave a lot behind, right? Your memories, your friends, the places that you are comfortable in, the places right? Places that you've had a lot of experiences in, like, you know, and that's why you consider it home, right? Is you've lived there for a long time generally, right? It's somewhere it's comfortable for you. So I think the hard part about leaving home is like when you go to a new country, even harder. Like for me, when I came to Portugal, like you have to learn a whole new language, you have to adapt to a new culture. Like it's not the same. Like people aren't the same here as they were there. So I can't relate and associate them with them the same way I did to my old friends, who spoke English, or had more of that cultural aspect. Now it's, different people, they vibe different, and that's obviously a challenge, but I guess that's where you can adapt and like sort of reinvent yourself a little bit and like start something new. So that's the good part.
But you moved a lot as a kid, didn't you? So
Yeah.
what's home for you? Is it like the
Well, home,
same?
home will be Macau, I think, always.
Okay, yeah, that's my
Yeah,
guy.
bro.
I like that.
That'll never change. So yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Now moving on to the next question. This is a deep one. I like
okay.
this one. Do you think soulmates exist? And then explain why.
It's a tricky question because it's kind of like, oh, what do you classify as a soulmate, right? Like, I think, do I be, do I believe in them? Uh, I wanna say I do, but I don't know if I do. Like, I wanna say like there's one person who will only be for you, but I think it's a very dangerous thing to believe in relationships, because in every relationship that you're in, you're kind of like, oh, is this person my soulmate or not? And if they're not, you're always like, oh, my soulmate's out there and I can't date this person. And it's kind of like, well, that's believing in some weird theory and not enjoying what you do have and appreciating the person that you have with you right then, right? So sure, I think technically yes, it's hypothetically possible that there are soulmates, but I just don't think about it like that. Like I don't go around dating people and think, is this person my soulmate? Like no.
Well, I disagree with you. I just don't think soulmates exist.
That's what I
I
just
think,
said.
huh?
That's what I just said.
No, you said hypothetically yes, but you don't know for
Yeah,
sure.
hypothetically they could exist. How would you know unless you found the person?
Well, I am definitely on the no side though. I'm not
Mm,
unsure. I think that the idea of a soulmate is an interesting one. It's one
mm,
that it's good to dream about, but in reality, it just doesn't exist. I think that you can find somebody that you can tailor to the best and be the best version of yourself with and be fully in love for the rest of your lives. Yes, but sometimes it takes like you date like three different people that you think you're gonna end up marrying, and then you don't, and then you meet another one, and you're like, you spend a great amount of time with them. You're like, oh wow, this person is my person. You get what I'm saying?
mm.
So I think there's like a person for everybody,
So that's a
but
soulmate.
no, but I mean,
Yeah.
I think that there's a person for everybody, but it not may always be what the definition of soulmate is.
No,
Sometimes
I have it here. It said a person ideally suited to another as a close friend or romantic partner. We're taking more as a romantic partner here. So if you're saying there is somebody out there for you, that means you believe in a soulmate. Just
just
different
wait,
words.
just wait, just wait. Let me explain. Um, I don't know. I think that there are people that you get along with better, and I don't believe in it. I'll be very honest with you. My romance levels have like gone down so much because I told you I tell on different episodes that I'm not focused on that. I don't even care about that right now. I'm just focused on growing myself, being the best version I can be, being nice to others, kind, caring, and I'll be honest with you. If I meet somebody that if I want, then I'll pursue. But so far, nothing. So just do my thing. You know.
Okay. So then you don't believe you could find somebody out there who'd be suited for you in terms of dating or marriage.
No,
So you say you basically believe that you'll be single for your life, and if not, you'll be married to
no, no.
somebody you're not
Because I'll
supposed to.
tell you this: a lot of people get married at 30, and then they reach their 45s or 50s, and they're like divorce, divorce, and divorce is so much more common nowadays because people think they find their soulmates, but that's just an illusion. I think that's just an illusion. Sometimes you find somebody that you think you're fully in love with, and you are, and then at some point it just stops. You can't. That love is gone. You know,
Or maybe
and
that's a bad choice that you made, not
it's
that they
not.
don't exist.
No, you can. Let's say you have a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Let's say you guys spend the next 10 years together, and then you guys decide to get married. You get married, and then you guys go 5 years into your marriage, and then bang, it's just not working out. And
Mhm.
you guys, in this scenario, you guys were together for 15 years or
Okay.
more. All
Okay.
right, you get what I mean. You think
Yeah.
she was the love of your life, that she's your everything, the best person for you, but at some point that stops being true. So, and then
How
I
does
just think that a lot of
how does
people
it
come and
stop being
go.
true? How does it stop being true?
You guys fall out of love. Maybe she meets someone else. Maybe you meet someone else that piques your
Then,
interest.
but that's my point. If I go meet somebody else that I prefer to her, then she wasn't my soulmate, and maybe this new one that I met is my soulmate. Just because you marry somebody or like you date somebody doesn't make them your soulmate.
It's an illusion.
Like,
I just think that people come and
what
go.
if you find your soulmate and like she dies, and you go up marrying somebody else? You still had a soulmate in your life. It's not the one you ended up with, but it doesn't neutralize the fact that you have a
It,
soulmate just because you
it's
don't
an
marry or date
illusion.
her.
It's an illusion. I think it's an
It's a
illusion.
word.
It's it's an illusion that people have, and then makes a lot of people sad because some never find their soulmate. You get what I'm saying? It's just it's just something that people worry about so much, and I'm just like, why? You meet people, you can date people, and people come
It's
and
not,
go at different points in your life.
but that's not the question, Rodrigo. Whether they're good or bad for you or whatever. It's
And I said,
asking,
I
do you
don't
think
believe
they
it.
exist?
I don't think they exist. I just don't.
Okay.
Moving on to the next question before we make it a whole episode.
Okay.
What
Maybe
would
we
be
can put this. We should make an episode about this, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah. Who would be your dream guest to have on the podcast? Dream guest, number one pick out of the whole world.
Damn. Somebody like really, I don't know. There's a lot of good. I don't know what I could name one, but like, there's definitely a couple good ones. Maybe somebody related to mindset or mentality or societal things like Jordan Peterson or Ben Shapiro or Andrew Tate or something like that. That'd be interesting. Just or like
Controversial.
a Piers Morgan or something like that. Like that would be like, whew,
That
you're
would
gonna get
be
some hot
a fun
takes
episode.
there. That would be a good episode.
For me, my dream guest, I would say David Goggins. You know who he
Okay.
is, right?
Yeah.
That ex Navy SEAL. Like I love that guy. What he stands for, I look up to him in some aspects, and I really like
Hmm.
not envy, but I really look up to his mentality, and I
Okay.
think that he would be a great guest in this podcast if we ever reach that point, of course. Uh, because maybe we're talking a few years from now. Who knows? Who knows?
Hmm.
And I think it would be really interesting for us to sit down with him and just have a conversation about certain topics and see how he thinks about it and how he speaks about it, to be honest.
Hmm. I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then, who would you say? This is another question. Who is someone who inspires you?
So this is a question.
Yeah.
Ah, somebody that is. Do I have to pick one or can I pick like three or four?
Say as many as you like.
So I'll say definitely one. My dad. Look up to my dad most of my life. Amazing guy. Definitely one of the biggest people that inspire me.
Hmm.
Just what he stands for, the way he goes through every day, how hard he works as well, all the values he has instilled in me as well.
Hmm.
And I would say two more people at least. Um, I would say Cristiano Ronaldo, not because of his fame, but because of what he has been through all of his life. And I find it very inspiring how somebody started off in his position and has built everything to the point that he has, and throughout all of those years been criticized by the media, by everybody, and still has that strong mindset to show up every day and do what he does. And the last one, I would say David Goggins. I already mentioned the reasons.
Yeah.
What about you?
Big fan of David Hawkins. Um, I don't know. I don't want to say that nobody really like inspires me, but like I don't have something I look at who's like I I don't idolize anybody. That's the thing about me. I don't idolize anybody, which I think is a good thing. But there are some people that I look at and be like, yo, that's like it's pretty cool what they did. Like, Cristiano Ronaldo, like you said, Steph Curry also like the way he's able to balance fame and balance, family and good values and things like that and doing sports at the same time and working hard and things like that. Otherwise, I think I think I inspire myself. Like my potential for myself inspires me. Like I'm like I know what I can be, so that inspires me more than anybody else.
But that's the same thing for me. I look in the mirror and I'm like, you're my biggest inspiration. Me, of
Mm.
course,
Yeah.
because I aspire to be great every day and to be better every day. But inspiring, being inspired by someone else is not you idolizing them. It's just what they stand for or
Mm.
what their values are. Like they inspire you to be better, to have maybe those values. Or maybe you take a few traits from this person and that person and some of the things that person says and stuff, and you turn it into turn into some of your values, you know you grow with it. That's what it means by being inspired by someone, at least in my opinion.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, but I like that. You inspiring you. I like that. Not a lot of people have that.
I think, yeah, for sure. Like you should always inspire yourself, but like along with what we were saying, I think also ideas can inspire you too, right? Not just people,
Yeah.
but like ideas are also important because then sometimes my problem with like people inspiring is that sometimes like people can look at that and be like, oh well, they do this good, but they do a lot of other things that aren't good, right? So I don't like to take one person and just be like, oh, this person inspires me. I like to take ideas from that person. Like, oh, this person has a great, you know, mentality. Like you were talking about David Goggins. Like you can be inspired by the idea of his mentality and things like that. I think that's more important. But yeah,
Yeah.
that was a good question. I like that question.
And like the idea of stoicism, for example, that teaches the development of self control and fortitude as a means of overcoming destructive emotions. Like that idea is something that would inspire me to take it into consideration and learn
Mm,
it and make it, part of me as well. I agree with you
yeah,
with that. Perfect.
for sure.
Great question here. Do you see yourself as a positive figure for others?
Um,
Oh,
yeah, for sure. I think so. I think so.
I don't
I
think
don't.
so.
You don't think so?
I'm kidding. I'm messing with you.
I think so. Like I think that's also everybody's responsibility to be a good example for others, right? Like I think if you have good characteristics, like people will naturally see that. You don't have to try it. Like you don't have to be fake and be like, "Oh, I'm so good. I'm so this." Like no, you're not, right? But like in trying to do the things that you think are right, and by standing by your values and standing by your actions, people will see that and be like, "Oh, this guy like he's smart, he works hard, he does this, he's dedicated, you
Yeah.
know people notice that and they're like, oh, interesting, he's not overly cocky or things like this, and people appreciate that, and yeah, I think those are good characteristics, and I
Thank
think
you.
that gives a good outlook of yourself, right? A good presentation of yourself to others, and that's important.
Same here. I think I can consider myself a positive figure for others. Be- oh yeah, 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 yeah. Go, go, go. Sure,
That's
sure.
good too.
No, because like it. Sometimes I do this interesting thing where I think, would 12-year-old be proud of me of who I have become today?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because when you're young, you have this idea of what you have want to have done by when you're that age or what you want to be like. And I think I have exceeded all of my expectations because when I was 12, I didn't think I'd be playing football outside of Macau. Achieved that. I didn't think I would grow up to be man, this young man that would have the values that he has today, that has a hard work ethic, just always working hard and training and everything and giving 100% of himself to everything. I didn't think any of that. And I think that my values and the ideas I stand for
Mm-hmm.
help others because I have it like when I'm around people, I always notice that they're good, and I always make sure that I check in on people. So well, all I try to do is be me, and hopefully other people be like, oh, maybe I should check in on people as well, or maybe I should adapt this and just. I don't want to be considered a role model. If I am, that's great, but I just want people to look at me and be like, wow, this guy is trying to be the best version he can be and maybe help them strive for the same, trying to be the best version of themselves.
Yeah,
And that's definitely something that's great.
that's a good point. That's a very good point. Here's now one. What's the
Further.
best feeling that you can get as a human being?
Oh, I have the perfect answer to this question to all football fans. Scoring a 90th minute header in a game. Done. I'm kidding.
Header or
Um,
element?
the best feeling in the world that you can have. Oh, that's crazy. You
You want
gotta
me to go
pick
first?
yeah, you go for it. You go first. I gotta
I
think.
think this. I don't know. Just a lot of good feeling. I think the sense of accomplishment is a great feeling when you achieve something, when you finish something that you've been working really, really hard to do, and you
Mhm.
look back and like, wow, kind of like what you're talking about with, your 12-year-old self looking up to you now, right? When you look back and you're like, wow, I achieved that, right? That's a really good feeling, right? When you finish your workout, when you have a good game, anything of accomplishment, right, is a really good feeling. I think good feelings was the best. That maybe, I don't know, being in love or something like that too. It's a
I
great
need to
feeling.
say that.
Too cheesy, right? But for real, that's a good feeling.
All
Now it's
right.
your turn.
Well, for me, I don't think being in love is the best feeling you can have as a human being because you can be in and out of love a lot of times in your life. It's not something that is rare. I think that the best feeling you can have is, you know, making sure that your family is good and healthy, your friends are good and healthy, because it makes you feel happy, it makes you feel good that you're looking out for others, that you're taking care of others as well, you're helping others being the best version of themselves. And honestly, I'll go back to football. Just being on that field with your friends and playing ball for hours on end, no worries in the world, just you guys and the ball. That's the for people that haven't played football and people that play football, they know that that's one of the best feelings you can have for sure.
Mm.
Definitely. And being with your family. That's it for me and friends. Now we're down to our last
People,
two
not
questions.
feelings.
What did you say?
They're people, not feelings. You're mentioning people. Those are not feelings, man.
What's not fulfilling?
No. Okay. Next question. Next question. Um,
Our last two questions.
I think it's our last. Who would be the best celebrity to interview based on the topics you have talked about?
We would definitely have to pick
Soares.
somebody from the Gen Z criteria, part
I
of the
don't
Gen
know.
Z.
I can't think of one person who would fit all our topics.
I'd say Mr. Beast, the YouTuber. I'm not
No.
kidding.
How does he fit our topics, bro? About
Because
educational system and things.
because
Romantic
he's
relationships. The gap
because of
year.
may I speak?
Gen Z fears and doubts.
Because
How does that have to do
he
anything with
he is a
Mr. Beast?
guy that gives out to people. That's been creating videos since he was 18. And wait, is he a Gen Z though? I
I'm
don't
pretty
know.
sure it's not.
Oh damn.
It doesn't have to be Gen Z. It just has to be somebody is saying the best celebrity to interview based on the topics we talk, not about who's the most influential figure on YouTube or something. Who'd be the best person to interview about our topics? I don't know. I
I
don't
think
really
I
have an
still think
idea.
Mr. Beast.
Okay.
I think he would have a very interesting take on gap years because I don't know if he went to university or not, but I think he would have a really good because he's been doing YouTube since he was like 18, and I think it would be really interesting just to hear him out and explain on relationships. I think it'd be good as well
So you
to be
take him
able to
over
talk
David
about relationships.
Goggins.
Um,
So you take him over David Goggins.
to talk about relationships.
Well, that's not all our topics were about relationships.
I'm just talking about different topics. I'm saying why Mr. Beast would be good for them. But
Take
yeah,
him over any debater in the world, any celebrity.
it comes to mind,
Over
Mr. Beast.
Cristiano Ronaldo, over.
You want to have Cristiano Ronaldo talking about gap years? That's crazy,
No, I'm not saying he
outrageous.
has. I'm saying that's why I didn't say Cristiano Ronaldo, but I'm saying somebody.
Out of all the celebrities in the world, I would pick Mr. Beast as one of them.
Okay.
What about you? Who would you pick?
I don't know because like we have way too many topics. I don't have a specific person that would fit them all.
I'm just saying it would be interesting to talk to Mr. Beast based on the topics he's talking about. Maybe Joe Rogan, because he's a podcaster. It would be interesting. I think we'd have some interesting takes on the
Okay.
topics we covered. And let's ask our last question.
Okay.
What are your plans? Oh wait, no, we
We
asked
already
this one.
asked that. That's what I'm saying. That was the last question we just did.
Let's redo it. So guys, that was the last question. Let us know what you guys think of our first Q&A Sunday. We are gonna say episode 11 as well. But hopefully you guys enjoyed, and we'll hopefully we get good feedback, we'll keep it going.
For sure. So yeah, thanks for the questions, everybody. It was great to connect with our audience a little bit more in this episode. So that's something we will hopefully do more in the future. So thanks for tuning in. Thank you again for the questions, and see you next week, hopefully.
See you guys next week, and don't forget to follow our social media.
Indeed.